drift by my window. The falling leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear old winter's song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall,
Hello, hello, hello. Oh, you're seeing behind the glass. We can't have that. Hello. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna pull this out real quick so that I can see anyone popping into the chat. Hopefully you can't see too much of it yourself. Hi Mandy, for the doubt there's anyone new here right now, but just in case you are, I'm Andy. This is Get Gamey. This is a channel about board games and board game shopping. Okay, it's kind of what today is, kind of not. So every year I'm always like, should I do one of those, my top 10 most anticipated games of the year, or like my top games of the previous year? And reflecting upon it, I realized a live is really the best way to do it because it's really, one, I can't limit it to 10. I mean, what board game are worth their stuff, Cam? It's really more a list of, ooh, shiny, or ooh, that's ought to buy, or ooh, that's maybe interesting, but I'm probably not going to buy it. It's really hard to narrow those kinds of things down in any meaningful way for me, anyway. And every year I do like to make, I usually make a list, like a geek list on BGG. I started working on one, but I did not finish it in time for this video. Boo. Failing at that. But the way I kind of wanted to do this, oh, we're already looking at the button shy thing. I wanted to kind of show you what I do. So the first part of this, really, we're going to talk about the button shy, lineup for 2024 and my many thoughts on it. And then we'll get into the BGG kind of, I have a list of about 60-ish games that I put together from over 2000. So it's kind of weird always in January doing things like this because it's inevitably a combination of like, okay, games that were kickstarted last year that we know are coming this year. So I do have a list of those, of games that we've either kickstarted or late pledged. And then it's a combination of a lot of games that like they've released a title and they released a cover and that's it. So January is always kind of a dead zone when it comes to that. Like a lot of things come out towards the end of the year or beginning of year in board games, I've noticed. So it kind of skews things a little bit. There's probably some things here some people would consider 2023 or probably aren't even going to come out in 2024, are going to come out in 2025. It's, board gaming is a mess. Things take at least the turnaround on a lot of games is really 2 years, not 1 year. So it's a little bit different than in regular publishing, but yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about Button Shy for anyone that's here. So Button Shy, I'm pretty sure this got released on their Twitter. Yeah? Hopefully this is not some secret Patreon only. I am part of Button Shy's Patreon, and it's going to kind of tie into the conversation I wanted to start with about the Button Shy 2024. As many of you know who watch the channel, we're big Button Shy folks. Let me know if you can hear me too, by the way. If anyone pops in and cannot hear me, please let me know. I'm pretty sure, I'm very sure you should be able to hear me, but I don't have, here, let's open up OBS real quick. Okay, I see my thing moving. See, there's the little thing that tells me if there's audio on. Okay, cool. So my face is blocking part of this. That's good information to have. So we're going to move this over just a little wee bit. So this is the lineup. This is a picture got released for the 2024 Button Shy lineup. The reason I'm talking about this first is because it is its own category, because I am part of the Button Shy Game of the Month Club. There's a whole acronym they have that's BGBOTMC whatever. For those of you that didn't know, I am part of that Game of the Month Club. I have been for, it's been more than a year. I feel like it's been a year and a half. It was May of some year. Yeah. So it's been about a year and a half. And so the thing with this is I'm going to get every single one of these games, automatically. This is not an aspirational, sort of part of the conversation, which is why we're doing it first, because eventually I'm going to get every single one of these games. Eventually I'm going to hopefully play every single one of these games. There's a stack of Button Shies actually right next to me that need to get played. But generally I play most of them that I receive. And these are more that will be coming. And some of these are not wholly new games either, which we'll talk about in a second. But I did want to kind of show you guys, I don't know if I've ever really shown people on the channel or on camera. I always am maybe I'll do a Button Shy unboxing. It would really be more like an unfolding because they're wallet games. But this is what the package looks like when you're in the Board Game of the Month Club. Just in case anyone's curious, they send them to you. I think this is the same thing they use to ship everything in, obviously. For those of you not in the United States, this is what the super cheap express mail packages look like, that are a flat rate little thing. And so I just found this hanging out in my messenger bag, by the way. I get so many of these. I've gotten 4 of these this month because, as I will talk about in a second, I've fallen into a dangerous trap where with the Button Shy Board of the Game of the Month Club, you get discounts on their Kickstarter campaigns. So I've backed, I don't back every single one of their Kickstarter campaigns, but I back quite a few, and I'm reticent to do that now because I've ended up with multiples of things. So obviously the Kickstarters aren't always exclusively the new games. The new games you always get, and I'm okay, I gotta make sure I don't back those Kickstarters because it's just redundant. But the reprint campaigns are usually the ones that I back. But anyway, yeah, I found this in my messenger bag. I'm oh, what kind of stuff do they send you? Usually. So I also have another stack of this I already threw away the other package for these, but these are other new games they sent me, because these are backlogged kind of things, because they had a couple of months that they skipped here and there. They're not always the most consistent actually sending you it once a month. Sometimes they send you a bunch at once, to catch up with things. So these are some new ones. So we have a guesswork. This is a word game, I guess, similar to French toast. Pizza. Yum, yum. That sounds good. Pizza, yum, yum. So sometimes when you get the the game of the month club, I keep on wanting to say board game. They're not board games, they're wallet games. It's just game of the month, I think. Yeah, it's just game of the month club, right? Sometimes you get ones before they're officially released. And sometimes it's a while before they're officially released. So you do get kind of like advanced copies, I guess is the best way to say it. Apropos of movie, this is a Peter C. Hayward game. Peter is doing more designs for Button Shy now, which is exciting. I believe Peter's the Tiny Towns guy, right? Or am I thinking of the wrong guy? Wait, Tiny Towns is right behind me, isn't it? I might be thinking of the wrong Peter. Hold on. That's Peter McPherson. Sorry, I'm getting my Pete's confused. What did Peter C. Hayward do? He did something. Well done. Oh, this one, I guess. Converge. This one looks fun. I don't know what a propulsive movie. It's some movie theme. This one is like a little... What would you call that? It's sort of like Mad Max, post-apocalypse theme. That's kind of the vibe I get from this game. This is a 2-player only game. Ooh, look how pretty. A little crystal. This one has really cool art. And you have like the little archivist, science-y, we're like in the future kind of... oh, there's a little archivist. So this is a 2-player... only game. You know, a lot of multi-use card stuff. So they'll send you things like that. Ooh, new games. They don't always send you this many at once. Usually it's like 1 or 2. Often it's 2. And then they'll send you other things. So like, this is, usually they'll send you like little expansion packs. So those come, like this is the wallet for the expansion collection. Just to house it. Sometimes they're just sending you the wallet for some games, and then has some expansions that they sent in it that come in the little sleeves. And then I guess this is just Leland's tackle box. So, as some of you may recall, I wasn't the biggest fan. Well, I shouldn't say that. This was not the game for me, Fish Lessons. It is a good game, but like a little bit too much of a memory deduction style game for me. But now I have more expansions for it, so maybe that will help me. It's like I would like the game. I would enjoy the game more if I were better at what the game wants you to be good at, I guess. More Battlecrest. And another Battlecrest expansion wallet. Number 2, I guess. So I'm going to be getting even more of I already have a bunch of these, and I still haven't, I pretty much learned and kind of got through, like, the first couple of turns of a game of this. It's very much a head-to-head battling game, and it's not really me or Rich's style of game, so I don't know what the future is going to be for Battlecrest and the collection. Probably going. And then other little expansions. An expansion for Wonder Tales. This is the solo mode, which might help me like this game better. I thought Wonder Tales was a little so-so. The Royal Limited, which is a great game. It's one of my new favorite Button Shies, actually, so I'm really happy to have an expansion for that one. At the Helm. Another expansion for that, which, as some of you may know, that wasn't my number 1, but it was on my list of like top 10 solo games of 2023. So very happy to have an expansion for that. And these are 2 games. I don't have Squabbling Goblins and Twin Stars. I don't have either of these games. Sometimes they send you expansions to games you don't have. Squabbling Goblins is a Emma Larkin's game that I really want to get into. John is always talking about that one. Says it's a really good... I think that's the Trick Taker one. I might be wrong about that one. If somebody's played that one, you get in the comments, you let me know. Is Squabbling Goblins a Trick Taker? I'm not sure. Some kind of card game. Oh, they're all card games. Twin Stars is one of their, like, sci-fi ones. One of the heavier ones, to my understanding. So we shall see if I ever end up getting one of that. Oh, sorry, this is a single player dice series. This might be one of the more RPG ones, which I'm not really do that RPG line as much, but that could always change in the future. So this is the kind of stuff they send you. So obviously, they're always sending you things. When they're not backlogged for a couple of months, which that's, it's here and there. But it's always fun to get a nice little package in the mail and have stuff to play through. So all that to say, I probably just spent 50 minutes just like showing you my button shy haul. There you go. There's a button shy haul for you. All this to say, I'm going to be getting every single one of these games. So I think I'm qualified to give some thoughts on this because some of these are, I don't want to say reskinning. So for those of you that aren't as familiar with Button Shy and what they do, obviously they're wallet games. They're mini games. I shouldn't say mini games. Some of them are definitely not mini. But they're all 18 card games. That's sort of the modus operandi. 18 cards or less. It's usually 18 cards, which sometimes doesn't usually include like the little mini rule books they have. And it's a variety of things, a variety of designers. Actually quite diverse array of designers overall. They even have a few women and people of color up in the mix. But, there's some games that they release a lot of expansions for that are sort of like their moneymaker games. So, like, Steve Armini and Danny Devine have the Sprawlopolis -opolis series. So there's, like, Naturopolis, Agropolis, Combopolis. And now, apparently, there's going to be a Casinoopolis. That'd be Casinopolis. It's so hard to say. Is it Casinopolis? That would be probably more Greek pronunciation. So for those of you that don't know, Steve Armini, who I've met, who is John's mentor, so, 1 degree of separation. He lives in Reno, and Reno has a lot of casinos. So this feels very much like a very tongue-in-cheek. And for people that are from Northern California and Reno, I think they're going to get it. I think people that aren't from Reno, Northern California are going to be like, why? What? It's a little odd, is what I'm saying. And I've looked at some, not prototype art, but like they, Button Shy releases like their art previews and stuff. And so I have seen a little bit of the card art for this, and it's very, like, not that it was the most, not abstract game. It is an abstract game in a while, but it's just it's not as colorful as the other Opolises, which I think Naturopolis, after the OG Sprawlopolis, is probably my favorite of this line of games, which, they're doing 1,000,001. They're continuing to milk that cow. Get those bags, Steve and Jason, that's fine. But we don't really need more. As consumers and players, do we really need another Opolis at this point? Like, not really. But he says this one is standalone, like similar to Naturopolis. And I still haven't tried to use the expansions, the Combopolis thing, to combine the Opolises together. People do that. But yeah, so that's happening. I don't mind really it so much. I'm not particularly excited about it, unfortunately. Sorry, Steve. Because, that sort of, if you live in Reno, like, you have to understand, Reno is not Vegas. Okay, and Renoites, what do you call yourselves? Renoers? I don't know what to call you guys. They're very cognizant of that. Like, but the casinos are still, like, the biggest employers in Reno. Like, the casinos are very central to, like, Reno life, right? So it's, like, a very tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. Like, people in Reno, like, have a love-hate relationship, I'm sure, with the casinos. Like, everyone knows somebody that's worked at one of the casinos. It's like that. It's a casino town. So I kind of understand where this is coming from on a personal level, and as someone that you know knows people from Reno, has been to Reno several times, like I get it, but I don't know. Like, do I want to play a game where I'm building my own casino? Not really. But that's fine. So the first one on this, let's just go back to the top and go through down to the bottom and talk about why how I'm feeling about these. So, Glass Garden, this one at the top. This is a solo only game. This is, I believe, an Indian designer, or Indian American designer. This is Roshni Patel is the designer. Yes, it is an Indian designer because he's the same guy that's coming out with that Ross Dance of Love game that looks really good, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, so this is one of his games, and he also designed one of the modes in the viticulture expansion, I believe. So he's up and coming. So good for him. This one, you're making your own succulent garden. So I love a gardening theme. I'm very excited for this one. I hope that the art will be really good. The button shy artists are always really, really good. And then we have a new Scott Alms, a nice cuppa. This is a tea themed game. Here I am with my coffee. I'm more of a coffee drinker, obviously, but I do like a nice cuppa. Seems like very like relaxing vibes. I think this is another solo only game. I think all their Scott Alms games are solo only games. Actually, I think they have their own series with him. I forget what it's called. Solo something series that specifically is Scott Alms solo games. So that's sort of one. In addition to the Sprawlopolises, I think that is one of their better selling series of games. He also has, obviously we looked at fishing lessons. He has the Royal Limited. The other one people really like is the mountaineering one, Unsurmountable, which I've only played a couple of times. It's not one I reach for as much, but it's good. And Food Chain Island, obviously, the Mac Daddy, which is one of the ones they have a million expansions for and is one of their best-selling titles. So obviously Scott Alms is... And then this one, this is The Walking Dead. How did Jason Tagmeyer, how did you get the rights to The Walking Dead or the license for this? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, actually, there was he got some kind of license for the X-Files at some point too. They have like a version of Sprawlopolis that's also X-Files themed, but I don't think they're printing it anymore because that license expired or whatever. Or maybe they just don't have the license and they're just like doing Walking Dead and be like, whoop, we'll just print this until we get sued. I doubt he's doing that. So somehow he got some licensing for The Walking Dead in order to print this game. So it's Walking Dead themed. So if you are a Walking Dead fan, hey, I doubt that this is going to last very long. So grab them while you can. I have a feeling this is going to become one of those like collector's things. So there's that. Fantasy Form, which seems, I believe this is, I don't know a lot about this. This is either a word game or it's part of another RPG series that they have. They do have descriptions of these, by the way, down here. Oh, see, there's the art for Casinopolis. It looks like that. Right? Like, I don't know if this is still just like the prototype art and they're going to do different art. Like, if this is what the final version looks like, I'm going to be a little like, It probably is a prototype. This definitely screams prototype to me, but I'm hoping that the art will be better. But, it's looks almost exactly like Sprawlopolis. So, there's like nothing new there. Oh, they are also doing Circle the Wagon's second shot. I just replayed this with Rich last night because I was like, the first time he played this game, he was like really, I don't know, not that he didn't like it, but I think he was like in a bad mood when we played it, and so every time I've suggested it since then, he's like, I don't want to play that game. And then we just played it again. He's like, oh, actually, I like this game because he won. um, so I don't mind more Circle the Wagons as opposed to just more Sprawlopolis. You know what I mean? Like, that's. I don't even think there's been other expansions of it. So there's that. Okay. And then we'll get to that. But I wanted to find. Oh, there's stuff for a nice cuppa. Try to eliminate worries and enjoy your tea without missing a step along the way. I like the art. It looks relaxing. I'm excited for that one. No, I want to look up some more information on this fantasy form one. This is a reskinning of Spaceshipped, which I have not played. I do not own. I guess it's a fantasy version reskinning of that. I don't really have much interest in that personally, but some people might. And here's Glass Garden. Oh, Roshni worked on a Battle Crest expansion. Well, good for him. It still looks a little prototypey, but I'm liking the vibe of a little gardening tableau building thing. They're doing a lot with Peter C. Hayward. I need to look up what Peter C. Hayward did. Somebody needs to tell me in the comments or the chat what Peter C. Hayward did. Inquiring minds want to know. This sounds like a word game. Oh yeah, Press Your Luck word game. So there's that. I'm not a big fan of word games anymore. Nothing against word games themselves, but I'm either really suck at them or I'm really good at them as a former English major. Which then makes them not fun to play with other people. Or, like, if they're, like, a guessing game, I'm cool with it. But if it's, like, we're trying to make words type of thing, it's just not interesting enough for me. I need some kind of theme. You know what I mean? So that's probably not going to be a hit for me. Okay, what's going on with The Walking Dead Surrounded? There's a map? Oh, like it's literally supposed to be. It's like the comic. So it got the comic licensing, not the show licensing, which makes a little more sense. That he managed to make that happen. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the writer of the comics lives in the New York, New Jersey area, doesn't he? I might be wrong about that. Then we have Mysticana Foundation deck. So I guess this is going to sort of be similar to Battle Crest in that... I think this is just a playing card deck. But it only has 3 suits. And then you can use it to play kind of a rock, paper, scissors type game. And they're going to expand it. Okay. I mean, the art looks cool, if nothing else. For the collectors out there. Oh, and then it has kind of the card values and kind of what they represent. I mean, it could be cool. Fire scorches earth, earth consumes water, water extinguishes fire. Sure. And this, I think, is the one I'm most looking forward to. Because this is, I believe, a Portuguese designer. Love Portuguese designers almost as much as I love Japanese designers. This is a worker placement game. Like, legitimately. This is a mini, micro worker placement game. I guess you have to provide your own worker. BYOW. But the art looks cool. You're making cork for bottles. That's the theme. So, I think that's quirky in the way that I like it to be quirky. And it says, I was reading about this on BGG, it says it's like a 20 to 50 minute game. Like, a lot of the button tries usually do not play more than 20 minutes max. So this seems like it might have some chunk to it. So I'm very excited to try this one. The button tries that try to be like a little euro in a wallet generally have worked really well for me. The last one I played, which was Count of the Nine Estates, was very much like a Euro-y type engine building resource management game and an 18 card deck, and that one really worked for me. So I have a feeling like this one, it won some kind of European award. So I'm very excited about this one. And then they have more expansions for Skulls of Sedlec. I mean, I've talked till I'm blue in the face about Skulls of Sedlec not really working for me multiplayer, but I do enjoy it solo, so I may end up getting this. I mean, they're probably all going to come to me one way or the other. So I've established. And then a Naturopolis expansion, I definitely want to get that because I do really like Naturopolis. And at this point, I'm just trying to collect them all. So I have thoughts about this Ancient Realm expansion. I love Ancient Realm. It was one of my favorite games of last year, actually. Which that list is coming. But okay, like, if ever I doubted that Ancient Realm is intended to be a Seven Wonders ripoff, I have my confirmation here, because he's calling this expansion literally. Isn't there a Seven Wonders expansion that's also literally called Leaders? Steve, I'm not trying to call you out today, I swear, but like, really? I love that game though, and it's like a Seven Wonders you can play solo, and that's easier to set up. So I mean, I'm not mad about it per se, but I'm just like, I really hope that Antoine Bauza doesn't try to sue you for copyright infringement. But it's just funny to me. I just think that's funny. But I love this game, and yes, I want to play with Cleopatra. So, duh. And so Super Slopes, I think I live streamed kind of part of Super Slopes. It wasn't a very good live stream. Don't go watch it. But this game was very so-so to me, which was really sad to me because this is the same designer as At the Helm, which I loved. And this one was just a very basic tableau building. It's sort of like Sprawlopolis-esque in a way. The card drafting was interesting. It has a very interesting, like, conveyor belt system, which rather than being side to side is like top to bottom, which I think was the most interesting thing about it. I'm hoping this expansion will make it a little more come alive for me. It just wasn't coming alive for me. I like the route building aspect of it. Was actually, but it's it's one of those type of puzzly games that once you've kind of cracked the code, you're like, okay, is that it? So if I get these expansions and throw them in, maybe it will sing for me a little bit more. But the button tries are very hit or miss. I found, like, when they're good, they're really good, and when they're not good, they're just kind of so-so. And there's not a lot of in between, unfortunately. That's, but there's a little something for everyone is the nice thing about them. So not all the games are for me. That's not to say that they're bad games, they're just not really my speed. I'm really excited for this Glass Garden one. That one looks like it'll be really good. And The Last Lighthouse, this is another Scott Alms. He's coming out with multiples a year with them now. And more Battle Crest, obviously. I still need to get the original Death Valley, but this is a Death Valley follow-up, so I would really like to try that one, because it's one of the button tries I haven't played that I really want to play the most. That and Squabbling Goblins, I think. And I didn't finish my thought about Rove. They're coming out with not one, but two, like, Rove reskinnings this year, which makes sense. Rove is one of their most popular titles all of a sudden, and it's fine. I didn't love it as much as a lot of other people do, because it's a logic puzzle, basically. That's what it is. And logic puzzles for me are something, they feel more like a toy to me that I pull out every now and again to have a little brain teaser, but it's not something I want to play all the time. So, did Rove need to have a junior version? No. Did it need to have an Aqua version? No. The Aqualon does look kind of cool, though. I'm not gonna lie. But, they're expanding in the series, and, with the business model that they have with microgames, it totally makes sense that they're investing in more like series of things and trying to appeal to, like invest in the titles that have been hits for them. So I'm not hating at all. Just to say that the reskinnings of these things are not of particular interest to me. But if you like Rove, check those out. Um, I really hope there's going to be different art on Casinopolis because I'm going to get it. I'm going to play it, but or I'm going to receive it, I guess would be a better way to phrase these things, right? Um, Now, when you do the Game of the Month Club, you do have the option to opt out of titles. So, like, they have like a list, like a rotating list of alternative, like backlog things, sometimes out of print things that you can get instead of whatever that month's game is going to be. So that, of course, is always an option. You can swap things out if you do so in a timely manner. Which now they have a Google form for that, which is they should have had the whole time, but they have a Google form for that now. So, again, I think it's definitely worth the. I think I pay $20 a month or something or 18. I'm on the $18 level, so it's worth it. You get a T-shirt after you've been part of the membership for a hot minute too. So I got my Button Shy T-shirt. So it's definitely worth it to get all these games. So if you are a Button Shy fan, I definitely highly suggest checking that out. But I wanted to kind of talk about all that because that's a whole category of games that I'm going to be getting throughout the year. So, like I said, I didn't have time to make this BGG list like I wanted to, but I do have Google Docs of the list, so we're going to go back and forth on this. But I wanted to show you kind of how I do it. So, I am very, I like to do things from scratch when it comes to my board gaming research. You're welcome. So what I do every year is I just go to BGG and I put in the year range of all the games that are going to be released in the year, and I just go for that list and try to pick out things that seem interesting to me. Either they're ones that have already been on my radar, or there's going to be a lot of Kickstarters that we've already backed, or Kickstarters that I seriously considered backing. And then sometimes I'll see, ooh, that's an interesting title, or that's an interesting picture. I usually go by title more so. And then even if it seems like doesn't totally grab me in the beginning, if it seems like it might potentially be of interest to me, I'll click it anyway and then read if they have they're usually pretty good on BGG. They all have some kind of synopsis blurb on them. And then I'll see if that seems like it might potentially be of interest. I would say more 50 to 60% of them are I'm never going to even think about this game again, but maybe it's something I can file away in the back of my mind for later. Because realistically, of the games on this list, I'm probably hardly going to get any in 2024. Probably when 2025 rolls around and they actually all hit retails, when I'll get a lot of them that I haven't backed on Kickstarter. So, but anyway, I just put in the year range for 2024. Submit. My internet is being slow. And then I just troll through. There's 21 pages of this, so I'm just trolling through that. And here's my little Google Docs. Oh, before we get into this is not a most anticipated game. This is probably the opposite of anticipated. But when I was going for this list, I discovered the potential existence. I don't think it exists yet. I don't know when this Kickstarter is happening, or if a Kickstarter is happening, or what the dealio is, but we need to talk about this real quick. So this is a game called Storm the Capitol. Tim, if you're watching, plug up your ears. I don't want you to get triggered because you actually live in DC. Okay, I have to read this. I'm feeling a certain kind of way about this. Okay, Storm the Capitol is the world's first board game based around the events of January 6, 2021. It's the game you never asked for, but they're giving it to you anyway. Take control of one of 6 patriots as you battle for the Capitol, collecting ballots, taking hostages, and fighting the police. Or play as the Capitol Police and use every means at your disposal to prevent the Patriots from getting to the roof with enough battles to stop the steal. So the flavor text on the back of the box is even spicier than that. I think it says something about the embattled President Trump, and you're taking the ballots to him to take off in his helicopter and rewrite history or whatever. I know this is probably a joke. Or this is satire. Like, this clearly is not, like, a red-blooded MAGA person making this game. It's probably someone who thinks, the state of politics in America, for anyone watching this that isn't in America, but, even if you aren't living in America, I'm sure you're aware that this is a very spicy topic. And he's still getting sued by the current government over this. So I think should definitely be filed under the category of hashtag too soon. Like, could we at least wait until see if he gets reelected again? Because that's a very real possibility. And just thinking about it makes me want to slip my wrists. But it's just... I don't know. Like, I don't play a lot of war games, obviously. And I would like to play more war games. Maybe I wouldn't start with this one, at least not anytime soon. Could you at least wait a couple of years, Like, I guess in their defense, it has been a couple of years. But maybe like 5 or 10 years. Like, doing something... I think doing a topic this recent... It doesn't even say who the publisher it is. It doesn't even say who the designer is. Like, I would like no information other than that flavor text on this. No one has posted in the forums about it. I have no idea who dreamed this up. If this is an elaborate joke. Like, what? Like, look at this cover. It's definitely meant to be a joke. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be a real game. Quite the opposite, I don't know, man. I just don't know. But that is potentially going to be out there in the world. Just in case you wanted to gouge out your eyes today and rip your ears off. There's that. Okay, but let's just go for these. So I take that back. I am anticipating that game very highly because I just want to see some, like, MAGA board game reviewers frothing at the mouth over that shit. You know what I mean? Wild. So Arcs is coming up. That is not on my list at all because I still haven't played Brute. We haven't played that Crystal Caverns one. This is a leader games, obviously, and I heard it kind of does trick taking, but in space, which, I mean, at this point, I'd probably rather play Moonrakers, but, a lot of people have been hyping it, so, but, I very much doubt it's going to be something that'll be up Rich's alley, so, I looked up a lot of stuff you don't need to know about most of these, but I have about 50 or so. Well, and a top 11. We'll probably do the top 11 and call it a day because I'm already, like, exhausted from that button check conversation, and that Stop the Steal thing is really just, like, taking the wind out of me. But there are some ones that look really interesting in here, like this hairband one. Let's go look at that one. I'm just going to put these in, screw, like, scrolling for that whole list. You know what I mean? That's not why we're here today. So, hairband. I love this theme. It's hair metal band, but specifically a hairband. So, rock, roll, and rule. Rule, yeah, baby! Like, my mom was super into hair metal in the 80s to 90s when I grew up. So I, like, grew up on that type of music. Like Def Leppard, freaking Ozzy Osbourne, Dio. Like, this is giving me that kind of, She's used to tell this story about how Bon Jovi saved her life, like literally. My mom was like a super like rock station groupie back in the day. She had Black Sabbath on vinyl, the whole rigmarole. Um, so I just think this is delightfully cheesy. I think it's a roll and write, if I'm not mistaken. Um, yeah, this just looks fun, just fun and campy. So I love everything about this. So that's on the list. Another one, Guardian Geckos. This is a game about lizards, and I was just saying to Rich, there needs to be more games about lizards. There's no picture, so this is kind of like par for the course when I'm doing the list like this at this time of year. There's no picture. Sometimes it doesn't even have the designer or the publisher on it. This one does. 10 Robot Games. Know nothing about them or this designer, but this is a hex tile laying game about geckos running around and eating bugs. Love it. I don't know if it's like designed for kids or something, but I don't care. I want a lizard game. The garden is full of geckos scurrying around and capturing bugs. I can just see them. I can just see them. And they're seeking out new areas to hide because they're shy. Each player represents 5 geckos that must work together to capture as many bugs as possible, along with achieving objectives to score victory points. So I feel like it's probably like, not like a kids game, but it's probably like a family weight game. Yeah, and you're placing tiles, which have a mix of 3 patterns. There's some matchy happening. If you fully surround a previously placed tile, the bug on the surrounded tile is awarded to the player with the most geckos touching it. So it's a little bit of area control, kind of, I guess. So, and there's objectives relating to terrain sequences and bugs on terrain sequences. So it's a little bit of a madcap race sounding thing. This sounds fun. So I'm gotta keep my. I should just subscribe to all these on BGG. Hey man, this is what I do, and this is how like anytime a Kickstarter's announced, I'm like, oh, that game, because I literally just read about all of them in January like this. Most of them have been usually get announced around this time. There's a button shy on there still. What else sounded interesting? Oh, and bunny games. I was looking for more bunny games. This one sounded interesting. Jumping jackalopes. Still no picture. But I'm trying to find lizard and rabbit games, because those are like me and Rich's pet names for each other. He's the lizard, I'm the rabbit, Jackalopes hop around seeking refuge among various mythical creatures. So this allegedly, you're like collecting different mythical creatures, kind of like that Veil of Eternity game. But then you also have these jackalope meeples that are hopping onto the different creatures, and you score using the jackalopes. You're controlling the jackalopes, which I don't know from that description if that sounds that appealing to you. I just like the fact that there's jackalopes and mythical creatures. I like that vibe. I don't want to fight the mythical creatures. I want to create like a menagerie of the mythical creatures. That's like kind of, I'm into that monster love vibe, like Kaiju Cutie. Like, I want to kiss Godzilla. I'm just being silly now. But yeah, that sounds fun. So, no picture. We do have a designer and a publisher, so that's helpful. I don't see anything on the forums about like this is like the vibe, right? Don't know anything about it, but I'm gonna keep my ear to the grindstone. Probably in a year I'll hear something about it. This one sounded really interesting, actually. And sometimes these are like really light things. Sometimes they're kids games. These is really hard to know with these things just going on BGG like this. But Band of Ogres. Okay, I like a music theme. This is a music theme. So it's like Battle of the Bands, but you're ogres. Come on. What's not to love? It sounds like a light card game, but like I just love that theme. Like the ogres like playing their little recorders, their drums and their tambourines. One of them has like a crump horn in the background, you know. And I think it's called, what is it called? Ogre Palooza is the festival they're competing in. This is Push Your Luck set collection. There's an auction element to this game, so it's not like light. It's not like, you know, Go Fish. Um, it says it does have Rummy style set collection, which I do like Rummy style games. But there's also this Push Your Luck auction thing going on in it too. So with special powers, like, it could be good. So that sounds fun. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I have a couple more animal ones I want to talk about before I get to the top 10. So Time Zoo. Speaking of that, I just want the menagerie of like mythical creatures. So this is Time Zoo. This is they're Dutch. It's a Dutch designer. Not to say him being Dutch means it's going to be any good, but this one you have a prehistoric zoo. I guess, you know, someone went in their time machine and collected all these like woolly mammoths and dinosaurs and stuff. And so like the theme is you're an intern for Darwina Awning at the Time Zoo, right? And the prehistoric animals have escaped, and you're trying to get them back into the Time Zoo, right? This sounds like the plot to a bad movie, but I think like in a card game, it sounds like super fun. And the art actually looks really good. This is another card game. With the little dinos and you know, there's plesiosaurs, like I mentioned, woolly mammoths. This just sounds really fun. And like the back of the car, it's just like the dinosaur eye. Like, I'm just a sucker for things like that. Speaking of sucker, there's also Atomic Kaiju. I know, I was just saying that I want to kiss Godzilla. Okay, here's a game for you. It's a deck building game. More card games. But this is... The object of the game is to use your military and your monsters to decimate your opponent's city. So I think it's a 2-player battler where you each control your own kaiju that you're trying to destroy each other's cities. Again, I don't really like battlers that much, but I just love a kaiju theme. So again, like, this is one of those ones on the list. I'm probably not going to get this game, but I just like that it exists, that it's going to exist, hopefully, in the near future. And then another one that I was looking at, the Reptiles, which I believe is another lizard themed game. Also tile placement, strangely enough. And this one, you're drafting tiles for different like lizards and stuff. And you're a conservationist. You've been tasked with protecting new species, patterns and habitats, yada yada yada. It's probably a fairly abstract game, but I like the fact that we have lizards because I like lizards. That's all. So it's a lot of that. There were some rabbit themed games, like there was this one called Bunny Drops, which actually, let's look at that one too. We're just we're doing gaming research today for the coming year, before I get into that top list, which I will in a few minutes. Bunny Drop. It's another light card game about feeding and cleaning up after your bunnies. Love it. And just the art is like, you know, you got like the little, look, it's a little bunny butt. Oh my god, it's a bunny butt. I have no idea how this game plays. But look at this little rabbit art, and it's doing the little floppy flop. So cute. We probably will end up getting this. I hope it's decent. I hope the gameplay is decent. Again, I'm okay with a light card game, obviously, if it has a super cute theme, which that sounds like... Oh, 10 Robot Games. It's that same publisher that's doing the other one. Right? What else have they done? Some stuff. Nutty Squirrels of the Oakware. What? Tanks, but no thanks? Interesting. Oh, they're Canadian. Well, there you go. Well, someone to check out. Okay, so let's just get into the top 10 because my back is hurting. I injured my back this week, and so it's been not fun. Oh, I did also want to mention real quick, for reals, before I get into the top. It's a top 11, by the way. Um, this is the next game from Fort Circle Games of Shores of Tripoli and Votes for Women fame. Their next game is a literary theme. Love it. Shakespeare's First Folio. So you're like competing. I guess Shakespeare's dead, and you're competing to be the first person to publish his folio. As someone that is a recovering English major, I love everything about this. And I guess it's basically a worker placement, resource management-y kind of game. You're printers in the early 17th century. Spicy, because most printers in the 17th century didn't have the copyright to anything. Like, there were no copyright laws then. So they're just publishing whatever. Whoever gets there first, man. Oh, so like the first part, yeah, you have like this sort of drafting part at the beginning, and then you go into the sort of resource management, economic style, worker placement-y kind of game. And there's a wheel of fortune, Fortuna's wheel, that you're spinning, I guess. Um, it's interesting. I mean, they do pretty big productions, so I imagine it's not just like a spinner they got off Amazon, you know. Um, yeah, this sounds interesting. I don't know if this is mostly a card game or if like it's actually going to be as big a big box game as their other two titles. Um, it could be their first foray into a small box game. I'm not sure. But I love this. Love this theme. And I'm very excited for this one. Now I just need to play Votes for Women. Sorry, Tori. Um, oh, and I made you a mixtape. There's a Moon Bunny one. So the chicks that did Steam Up, if you've heard of that game, it's a dim sum themed game with a actual Lazy Susan. You might have seen it in the Barnes and Noble. They're doing a follow-up game called Moon Bunny. For those of you that don't know, in Japanese folklore, the rabbits live on the moon. I think not just in Japanese folklore. I think it's in Chinese folklore as well. But this is literally your bunnies on the moon. And your bunny alchemists. And you have your little bunny acolytes that are helping you go around the lunar landscape to gather rare Asian herbs. Love it. Absolutely love everything about this. Oh, and it's going to play solo as well. Okay, well, Pauline Kong and Marie Wong are really turning it out. So I'm definitely very subscribing to that one. That's happening. So I'm getting to the part where these are actually more interesting ones. They sound a little more promising. I did want to mention these are going to be more honorable mentions, I guess. We're into the honorable mentions part of the list, I guess. Philharmonics. This is, I believe, who's making this game? I've seen these ads on Facebook. They're always sending me the board game ads, you know? Which, by the way, which is why that thing, if you guys heard about that Votes for Women controversy with Facebook ads, I'm a good example of why that stuff matters, because I do get a lot of, I hear about a lot of games that way as well, like just casually scrolling for Facebook, which I don't do as much anymore, to be honest. I'm kind of not as active on that particular platform as I used to be, but it is, people do see a lot of their ads there. So yeah, so this is one that yeah, it's an orchestra theme. You have an orchestra in space. Love it. You're conducting your alien orchestra. This cover alone, sold, auto buy. This should be on the top of the list. I don't know why this isn't on the top 11, but it should be. It's in the top 20, I think. Because this is like, where did I see? It's like in the top, yeah, this is in the top 20 for me. in addition with that, Coloma New Prospects, which we have several videos coming out where I talk quite a bit about Coloma, so I'm not going to rave too much about it here, but suffice it to say, it is like probably going to become one of my favorite games of all time. But it's not really in the top 11 because I've already played it. I'm just anticipating Rich getting to play it. And I backed the Kickstarter, so I will be getting my copy. I'm not sure when they're sending them out. It's a reprint. It's a reprint / expansion. So New Prospects is the expansion for the game is Coloma. It's by Johnny Pack, who's the same designer as another game which you're going to see on this list, who I've met. And I actually play tested this expansion with the designer and 5 other people. Do not play that game at 6, by the way. There's simultaneous action selection in it, so there's like an action wheel in that game. Love any kind of wheel in a game, by the way. That's not just a spinner you got on Amazon. And there's just so much to that game. I'm really excited to play it with Rich because I think he's actually going to really like it. It's just a great chunky Euro that's pretty accessible. It's not like a super convoluted Euro, so it's really nice. I don't know why these didn't end up on the top 11. Some of these might have ended up on the top 11 because I was trying to organize things and I'm very disorganized today. I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, I think I was trying to say interesting themes and I was trying to block things off. So if there's any repeats here, my apologies. But Luthier, I feel like this should have been, this is another music theme. And this is from the same designer as Distilled, that game about baking booze, which I've heard a lot of people talk really great things about. Dave Beck, that's the guy. He actually got Vincent Dutray to do the art for this. Okay, this is going to be an auto buy. I'm already subscribed to it, so I think he's probably getting ready to launch that Kickstarter pretty soon, which is great. Yeah, there's even a couple of videos already while he's on top of it. Remember, the bar is Lacrimosa. Rando SS Smith 71710. I agree. Lacrimosa is probably like my favorite music themed game that I've played so far. This might top it though. So this one, if you don't know what a luthier is, it comes from the word for lute, which is a type of stringed instrument, which is sort of the antecedent of the guitar. Or they're part of the same family. Technically, the guitar and the lute kind of coexisted for a period. But it's like that big. It has the really big neck. It's the kind of thing you stereotypically see Shakespearean actors playing, you know. So a luthier is someone that makes lutes or guitars or other stringed instruments. So a luthier is also what you would call someone that makes violins, because violins are a stringed instrument, you know. So this one, picture it. We've been transported to the height of classical music in Western Europe. I'm already sold. Like I've told you guys before, this is like probably like my favorite theme in games, or probably like games I would like to see more of with this theme, which is classical music, because I'm a classical musician. That's even my day job. So yes, I don't even need to read more. I know this is a heavy game. 3.7. Damn, that's almost as heavy as a Feast for Odin. So it's going to be a chonker, but it's going to be an auto buy for me. Yeah. And I still want to play Distilled. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Something about a new unique combination. Okay, so designers and publishers, can we stop with the like trying to say every game has some unique mechanism? Because most of y'all don't, really. Like, it might be a new mixture of things. It might be an interesting spin on something, but not everything needs to be new and unique. You know? You can be part of a genre of games. It's fine. It's fine not to be the first. Okay, we'll still buy your games. But I get it. They're trying to, you know, capture people's attention. So it's hidden bidding and worker placement, which could be great. This kind of sounds like Coloma, actually. Players manage resources to craft various musical instruments in the workshop while also courting actual historic patrons for an ever-changing personal tableau of actions and bonuses. I just remembered there's another classical music themed game that I backed on Kickstarter that is coming this year that I did not put on the list. and it's called Ovation. This is where we're at. Okay, I'm actually really excited for this game. I just remembered about this. This is a woman designer. She's from New Zealand. And I think Kavre covered this game. They did a preview slash. I can't remember if they did a full review or not of this game. Which it seems like it's medium weight. I thought when I first saw this art that it would be like a light card game. It's a more medium weight, like engine buildy kind of Euro. I do love this art though. Love it. And I love that the characters you can play as in the game are like historic composers and like real figures, and the art is based on like, the actual historical figures. Like, and I guess this is supposed to be a medium weight, kind of lighter Euro style game. There's some card tucking and resource management. Love to see it. Hey, Wolfie. I love the little piano on the boards. That's so cute. Yeah, so I already backed this. Like, not even like a dollar pledge. I went all in on this. Obviously, it was an auto buy for me. And I've been getting some updates from her, so I know it is coming this year. For sure. Actually, I think it might be if we're coming in 6 months or so, if I remember what she had said on her. You know how they send the little timeline things in those update emails about this is sort of the timeline of when it's going into production and when it's going to ship out, and they always end up like lying to you about those dates, but some people are better about it than others. It sounds like, she's doing her kind of one woman show thing. I think this is like her own little publishing thing. I guess it's technically we call that self-publishing, but people have like, start their own publishers, for their designs. So it seems like what she's doing. She seems pretty on top of it though. I don't know if this is like the first Kickstarter she's done. I think she's done at least one other one. So I'm really excited for this one. But I forgot about it, so it did not end up on my top 11. Oh, and last but not least, there was the Bone Wars, which is a dino-themed game you're playing as. I believe this is another worker placement game. You can never have too many, right? Bone Wars, your actual paleontologists trying to outdo each other in the Great Dino Rush. I'm a big paleontology geek, obviously, and yeah, I love that people are actually making games about. Before I started like really studying more about the history of paleontology, I didn't realize how much drama there was between like especially the early paleontologists, like the rivalries and the sabotage and the people stealing bones from each other and trashing each other in academic papers, like just wild stuff. If you don't know much about that kind of stuff, there's some really good documentaries, and I think there's even like a couple movies about like God, I forget their names. I'm so bad explaining this. Sorry guys, I'm brain dead today. Gideon Mantell. Just look up Gideon Mantell drama, and you will find some really spicy stuff. But this isn't about Gideon Mantell. This is sort of like a similar couple of dudes, but in America, that were in, I think they're supposed to be in Montana or Utah, one of those really dry states where they are taking up a lot of dino bones. And I guess you're like, is this 2-player only? No, I guess you're just kind of like the two guys are battling and you're either giving support to one side or the other, and then I think at the end of the game you get scoring based on which guy ended up coming out on top, kind of thing. It sounds very interesting, and I just love that theme so much. Okay, we are officially getting into what my top ones are. I did make a list. Obviously this is not final, but this is sort of the ones that I'm looking forward to the most. We just hit a bunch that I think should have been on my top 11, actually. You would think they would be on my top 11. They might still be in my top 11. Oh, I did want to mention, here's Ross. A Dance of Love. This is by that Glass Garden guy from, you remember the Butt Shy game with the succulents? Um, that's this guy. Roshni Patel, right? Oh, no, I got them confused. It's a different Indian guy. Whoops. Like, do they all sound the same to you, Andy? Oh my god, I wonder if Roshni Patel is actually a chick. Oh well. Dice drafting. So, who was talking about this to me? It was Maggie, I think, from Thinker Themer. She playtested this game, I think, and said it was really good. So it's dice drafting. You're drafting, I think, different colored dice on a sort of, there's like a little board and stuff. And it's supposed to represent the dance of love. um, yeah, and it sounded like, a fairly simple, somewhat abstract kind of dice drafting kind of game. But I just love that the theme. Even though I'm getting my designers confused with each other based on their ethnicity. That's not very woke of me. Assemble the best dance troupe by drafting dancers as they spin around the dance floor. So yeah, the board is supposed to represent the dancers are spinning around and around. So it's like a rondelle kind of game. It sounds so good. Oh, they're discs. Yeah, they're discs connected by an intricate gear mechanism. Wow, this just sounds cool and unique. So I am excited for that. Maybe that should have been on my top 10. These are all the top 20. We'll call it the top 20, whatever. But I want to get into what my actual list looked like. Oh no, there's the actual top. So I started trying to put these in categories, as you can see. I started trying to make Kickstarters weed back, but I did not finish that part of the list. We did back Nocturne and Wild Gardens. Those are two games that are coming. Nocturne is the new Flat Out Games. So, Cascadia, Verdant, those people. This is another sort of like tile tableau building. No, it's a bidding game, I think. They're doing bidding now. So there are tiles, but you're drafting the tiles for bidding. So, Nick and Mike from the Brothers Murph, they did a playthrough of this. It looked really fun, actually. And it looked like it's a bidding game that actually works it too, which is interesting. So you're bidding with these discs. You I think you have like 5 or 4 discs or something, and you're using those in order to draft the cards from the rows. Yeah, so they always, Molly and those other dudes always come up with really cool designs. So I'm very excited about that one. It's not like top 10 level of excitement though. Same thing with this Pampero game. Pampero. I'm not sure how to pronounce it actually. It's Spanish, and I think in Spanish that the stress is similar to Italian, isn't it? So it comes toward the penultimate. So Pampero, probably Pampero. Well, somebody get in the comments. You can correct me. But this is a chunker. This I think Vital Lacerda was part of the development of this. This guy is associated with him in some way, but it's EN02 art. It's a really big Euro game. I think it's kind of an economic game. So you're in Uruguay in the 70s making wind turbine farms. So I really like that theme. I like a good ecological theme. And Amy and Maggie did a playthrough and review on this game, and I was like, that looks awesome. It's the kind of chunky, complex, but thematic Euro that really is a sweet spot for me. Will it be too heavy for Mr. Rich? 3.8, maybe, but it's one I definitely want to try. I don't know if it's one I'm gonna go out and buy per se, but this is something if I see it on a shelf somewhere at a convention, I would want to try. And you never have time to play those big Euros at conventions. That's the thing. And so trying to get those heavier games tabled is tricky for me. But I want to find a time and a place and some people to play this Pampero game with, because it sounds really good. Maybe it's Pampero. That sounds more right. More right. Um, and then, oh, there's some Zenobia Award winners. So for those of you that don't know, the Zenobia Award, it doesn't happen every year, but I think the new one is happening this year, the second one. So it's an award for POC and queer designers, like up and coming designers that are trying to make a game. You know, people that come from the non male cis white. I'm not explaining the concept of the Zenobia Award very well, but basically it's marginalized designers. And they basically, there's a winner and then there's a short list, and all the people that get shortlisted get basically development deals so that they can develop and publish their game. So they sort of like God, it's almost kind of like an internship when you think about it. They have one that I backed that I'm very excited about. And it's through Ion Designs is helping to develop all these games that won the Zenobia Award. And a couple of them that are coming out this year. One I've backed, one I've not. Kartini, this is an Indonesian designer, actually, and she has this game which it takes place in the 30s in Indonesia, I believe. Jenna from the Board Game Garden actually, I think, did a Kickstarter preview of this game. So it's about girls' education in 1930s Indonesia. And I think there's some light revolution politics thrown into the mix, but it's a Euro style game in Indonesia. And you're managing schools for girls where girls from different islands of Indonesia come to be students. As they graduate, the students become politicians, fighters, patrons, or teachers, further advancing education for women and supporting the fight for the nation's freedom. I mean, I just love everything about that theme. One. And from the preview that I saw of Jenna, it sounds like it's more medium weight style Euro. And it seems like it's really more about you're sort of managing your students, and you're trying to get them to sort of like upgrade to become like either teachers or politicians. And I can't remember exactly what all the mechanics are actually, but it sounded interesting. Something where it's not just your typical like resource management worker placement game. It sounds like it has a little bit more unique mechanics to it. I can't remember what those are. I know there's money and books, so there probably is some resource management in it, but I can't remember what the exact mechanics are. But her preview made it look really interesting. Like the gameplay seemed very interesting. So that's Kartini. The other one that is from the previous Zenobia Award, and there's new ones that are going to be coming this year that are going to be shortlisted. So that's always fun. I think this is an indigenous designer. At least the theme is indigenous, and obviously the point of the Zenobia Award is, you know, to lift up marginalized voices. So I'm assuming if somebody's doing an indigenous theme and they got this award, they're also indigenous. But you know, and it's really hard to just tell from someone's name if they're indigenous, because a lot of indigenous people have, you know, very European sounding names because of, you know, the history of like colonization. So this is based on, it says, a Cherokee folklore about white rabbits. So the village elders have predicted a severe winter, and so the villagers have agreed to work together to ensure that the village has all of its necessities. In a spirit of healthy competition, the villagers have decided to compete to see who can be the most helpful, because it's a game. However, Rabbit, the constant trickster, has decided that he does not want to work. Lazy bunny. Instead, he has decided to confuse everyone else so that he can take all the resources for himself. So this one sounds really interesting because it's kind of like a one versus many thing, because one person I think is playing as the rabbit and the other people are playing as the villagers, and the rabbit is stealing all the resources and hoarding them, and the other villagers are just trying to steal all the resources back from the rabbit player. So it says hidden worker placement. So you're placing out the workers, but the rabbit is placing out the workers, but you can't see where they're placing the workers before they're revealed. I'm not quite sure how it works, but it just sounds really interesting conceptually to me. And of course, theme. I like theme. Okay, so those are kind of the ones that were at the top of my, ooh, that one sounds interesting. Oh, that one sounds interesting. It's very ADHD. But let's get to what did I have on my top 11? Well, as you can see, number one is Unconscious Mind. Is it finally going to come out this year? Is it going to happen? Fantasia Games. Because I keep getting their updates. Did I not spell unconscious right? Unconscious Mind. So, as this was on my geek list last year, and I think the year before that too. So I'm pretty sure it's coming out this year. God, I hope so. I didn't ask Johnny point blank when I met him, by the way, because I was too awed by Cloma. But he's not the only designer on this game. I always forget. I always think, oh, it's just Johnny. But Johnny obviously is, like a lot of designers, work on projects together. But I'm just so... this game is feeling like the Moby Dick of games to me at this point, because me and Rich, literally our first video on the channel, we were talking about this game. That's how long this game has been in development. And the art, gorge, the theme, I mean, this seems like a chunkier Euro game, but having played Cloma, Johnny Pack's other game, well, he has many other games, but that's one of his other games, this seems like it's in a similar style mechanically in some ways to Coloma, in that it's basically a bunch of different mini games all kind of blended together, and you're trying to balance all these different mini games. And that worked really well in Coloma. And Coloma was a weight that I was like, oh, Rich could totally handle this weight of game. So I'm hoping Unconscious Mind will be similar weight and vibe. I think it's maybe a little heavier than that. I mean, it says 3.9. So it is heavier than that. But I think that from everything, all the coverage I've seen of this game, there's a lot. There's a lot of different previews and overviews and reviews already of this game. Over the past 2 years, there's been quite a bit of hype for this game. I'm contributing to that hype because I think it's going to be amazing. But it just needs to finally get here. And this allegedly is going to be the year they've been promising. So I think right now, the last update I had from them, they were sort of not making any promises, which is good of them. But I think they're just finalizing the rulebook. They're finalizing the solo rulebook. I've seen some things for that. I think the game is pretty much done. They're just doing all the pre-production stuff still. So I'm pretty sure within the next couple of months, it should start to go into production. So I'm hoping it will be here by the fall or a year from now, but we shall see if it actually comes out in 2024. But that's still number one, because that Rich is really a big socio-psychology nerd. His degree is in sociology, and he has read a lot. For a while, he was like reading all these books of like different Freudians, different like psychologists of the early century, like Lacan and stuff. So he's very much into this theme, and the art is gorgeous. And I've been playing a lot more Euro games with him just to prepare him for this game. So I hope we're not building it up too much. We probably are, but it's fine. And the number 2 is Molly House. Okay, Tim, if you're there, this is where you should perk your ears up. But, I really wish if I'd really had my ducks a little bit more together, maybe we could have actually done a Kickstarter preview of this game. But, next time, next year. But I backed this all in, auto buy. Total auto buy. So this takes place in 1720s London. It's Georgian England, which is one of my favorite historical time periods, just to read about and watch media about. Not that I would want to go there because I'd probably get tuberculosis or syphilis or something. But this is about Molly houses, which were basically the gay version of flop houses at that time. So prostitution in London was a booming trade, especially booming. And yeah, these were houses where, gay men would go basically to hook up. So this is a game about people hooking up, but slightly classier than that gay Sonic game, and very Euro-y. I've seen a lot of art and prototypes for this that look really good. Cole Worley from Leader Games is involved in developing this game, and he's been helping kind of shepherd this for a non-binary designer. Love to see it. MB representation. And yes, I love everything about the theme. I love everything I've seen about this game. So you're drafting these vice cards representing different gestures, desires, and encounters that were frowned upon by society. And then you have the citizen group. So you're trying to avoid detection of the society at large, because obviously it's like, God, you think the 20th century America is homophobic. Imagine 1700s England. But you're having these gay parties at the Molly house. So it's not really like just sex. These Molly houses were actually like a gathering place for, sort of closeted gays at this period in time, which, gay people existed before the 20th century. I love that we're having a historical game about that reality, which many people in this country still are not aware of. And that just looks like a really good Euro game too. On top of that, do they have any images of some of the stuff? Because it's like you're playing with like, they look like classic playing cards, kind of like of the period. Yes, I love it. I love it. And I think, I'm not sure if it's trick taking exactly, but you're using these cards kind of in, I think they're sort of like the action selection mechanism, if I recall. And I don't know all the fine details, but I know enough to be like, oh yes, this is a must, absolute must. We are going to cover it on the channel whenever it gets here, which they seem pretty on schedule. They've already like locked everyone's, or they haven't locked anything yet. They've received a lot of addresses. They're sort of like closing the pledge managers in another couple of months and then going into production after that. So, it's very much like a lot of these Zenobia projects have already been through so much development before they get to the Kickstarter. Like by the time the Kickstarter happens, like they're ready to go basically, which is nice because that means that you're getting, this Kickstarter just happened in, I want to say October or September, something like that. So we're definitely going to be getting it this year, probably by the fall, I think, is when this will be delivering, fulfilling. And I'm very, very excited about it, and we're going to feature it on the channel. That's how excited about it I am. And then Meadow, number 3, Meadow Adventure Book. So as you all know, Meadow is, if not my number 1, my second favorite game of all time. And I love the expansion. And this is a standalone one where it's kind of legacy style meets RPG version of Meadow. So it's like an actual journal, I guess. And it's like kind of like guides you through kind of like a campaign through the game. This just sounds so wild to me. And when I first heard about it, I was like, because after the last one, I was like, okay, they're not going to make another expansion, or if they are, it's just going to be like more little deck packs. Like, where are they going to go next with this game? Because obviously it's done pretty well. And I think this is standalone. This isn't just an expansion, is my understanding. Is it? I definitely saw it on BGG. Meadow Adventure. There it is. Meadow Adventure Book. And of course the art is just great. I love now there's a windmill. Somebody got a memo about windmills. There's a bunch of windmill games coming out. I think Board and Dice is coming out with a windmill game too, but I don't know. But yeah, so this is a story-based experience. Like, one of the reasons I like Meadow so much and why this seems like the perfect evolution of this game is because Meadow is a game that gives me the feeling of like taking a hike through nature. Like I'm looking at the flora, the fauna. It's a very zen type of experience, in addition to the puzzle of it being so good. So you will explore journeys and different scenarios contained in a beautifully illustrated book. So it is a hybrid product combining features of a notebook and board game that can be played as the legacy-like experience of scenarios building up a campaign. So, oh, they do have a picture of some stuff. That's always exciting. I don't know. Maybe that's just the cover of. That looks like the calendar cover or something. I'm not sure, but I like that description. I like the idea of journaling. I like the idea. I love legacy games. So it's basically Legacy Meadow. So, here for it. All about it. Number 3. Okay. Now we got to talk about the doozy one. And if anyone is watching this, is anyone watching this? Oh, we did have people watching at some point. Okay, we're just gonna get into it. Night Shift, because I do want to talk about this a bit, and this is gonna be a doozy of a convo. I do not talk about this. I will not be talking about this in the RageCon vlog, which is coming out, by the way, finally. Tickets are up for RageCon, by the way. I debated not releasing that RageCon video at all, but eventually I decided, well, I just kind of want to document the experience that we had, even though it's so far after it happening. And also just to give people, a little bit of a perspective on if they're considering going to RageCon. But when I was at RageCon, me and Rich might have overheard a certain conversation certain people were having about this game. People who may or may not know the designer or be designers themselves. People that are not John and not Steve Hermini, not those dudes. Other dudes, and they were dudes, talking about this game. So this is, of course, a woman designer who is a former, well, not former, I think she still does do certain forms of sex work, but she was mainly an exotic dancer. And that's what this game is about. It's about exotic dancers in a club dancing for tips. And it's allegedly, because I haven't played it yet, but I will be play testing this soon, hopefully, because I was doing some digging and I messaged this designer on Instagram because, I was feeling a certain kind of way hearing the way that these guys who are, veteran people in the industry saying that they did not think that this game really stood a chance of being successful because of the theme, because a lot of people would find the theme offensive, I guess, to their puritanical sensibilities or something like that. I mean, there's no nudity in this game, by the way, that I'm aware of. After I played, I'll tell you, their clothes are on. Not much, but and then love to see the representation, women of all sizes. Those minis look good. She's already had minis made. So you're playing as a stripper, charming worthwhile customers into emptying their wallets, but nothing else. Okay, keep it clean. And I just love to see more women designers. I love to see someone really, as a former sex worker myself, I like to see that kind of representation in the hobby and being like, okay, not everything has to be, super conservative theme or family friendly theme. Like, we can have board games that are about adult themes and topics. That's cool. That's okay. That should be encouraged. And I think this game can be successful. I think it'll be a good litmus test of whether this industry is truly completely a family only industry, conservative leaning industry. Like, is there actually space in the hobby for more, I shouldn't say liberal. It's not about liberal or conservative politics anyway. It's about just these people exist. There are people doing this work. Sex work is work. And you're making games about every other. I saw a game coming up this year that's about picking up trash. You're a trash man. I saw another one about, you're a milkman delivering milk. Why can't we have a game about any other kind of job like this? So that's my soapbox. So there is a Discord for this. So if you are interested or curious about this game, she is actively seeking playtesters still on her Discord, which somebody so helpfully posted in the BGG forums. And I love to see someone said, this looks fun. And someone was encouraging her. And I think that's great. And she goes by Exotic Cancer online. Yeah. And so I am really excited to be virtually playtesting this soon, which I think will be very exciting. And I will let you guys know how it is. And I'm hoping, because this Kickstarter is happening in the next couple of months or so, I'm hoping we can do a preview of this game. It would be really cool if we could make it happen. So I'm going to try to talk to her about that. The only reason I'm saying this here is because there's 3 people watching. It's just between you and us. Just between you and us. These are things that I'm trying to make happen behind the scenes, by the way. So I'm very excited for that. I think that will be really fun. And then Forage. This is the follow-up to Orchard and Grove. I didn't even know he was going to come out with a 3rd one. So Mark Tuck, as y'all know, Orchard is like one of the games that got me into solo gaming. And so this is another solo-only micro game, not affiliated with Button Shy. And I'm really excited for this one. So instead of fruit trees, it's mushrooms and berries. You're foraging in the forest. Oh, I guess we're going to make chestnut soup and garlic mushrooms on toast. Cool. I am very excited for this evolution of one of my favorite solo games. So there's that. Oh, and of course, Johnny John. So we're always talking about John on this channel, right? John is a designer. He designs games. And the reason I don't talk about them on the channel that much is because a lot of them are prototypes. A lot of them are still in development, obviously, and I just don't want to give out too many of John's trade secrets, you know. But this is one that I think, I don't know if it is getting kickstarted this year, but allegedly it may be. And so this is his theme park themed one. This is not the other. He is also, the Kickstarter for his other game is also happening in a couple of months for I Found Bigfoot. So that'll be a separate Kickstarter, obviously. This is a totally different publisher than that one. He just signed this not that long ago, so I don't know if this is actually going to come out this year or not. I have played a version of this, but I don't want to talk too much about it because I think he's changed a lot of things since then. But it's, as I recall, it's sort of like you're in a theme park, you're managing queues and building rides and things. It's a 2-player only game. Quite quick little 2-player only card game. I think there's some dice drafting in it, as I recall. Or it might just be cards. Was he using cubes? I think he was using cubes, not dice. I can't even remember. But it is fun. I need to play the newer version of this, but whenever I do play the new version, I know I'm going to love it because I love all of John's games. He's a great designer. And I will definitely be letting you guys know when this is coming to Kickstarter as well. We are doing a Kickstarter video for I Found Bigfoot that's coming out whenever that Kickstarter launches. I'm just telling you all the secrets right now. Okay, like that's what's happening. I thought I was going to remember more about how this game played so I could tell you guys stuff about it, but I can't. Anyway, it's a theme park theme. You're building a theme park, and the theme park is called Scottsland. So maybe that shouldn't have gone on the top. Maybe I should have put I Found Bigfoot instead, because I know that's coming out this year. That's definitely happening this year for sure. And I think he has another game that is being kickstarted this year as well. So I think he's going to have 3 this year, which is very exciting. That's why I put it on the list, because I'm excited for John. And excited to actually be able to talk about these games once they're released and, you know, you can actually see them on the channel. Then Undergrove is the new Liz Hargrave. We are becoming like total Liz Hargrave stands up in here. because Rich is now officially obsessed with Wingspan, which I was not expecting to happen quite as much as it has. It's like his new favorite game to pull off the shelf, like when he can't think of anything else to play. I mean, it's not just him, it's me too. Like, it's a really good comfort food game. I still like Mario Postus a little bit better than Wingspan, though. This one looks... So I saw a live playthrough of this one on, I think it was the Dice Tower, which I haven't been watching the Dice Tower as much lately, but I did watch their live playthrough of this. And Liz was up in the chat, and it looks chunkier than her use. It seems like a little heavier than her games normally are. I'm not sure if it was just, I think at least a couple of those people were like learning it on screen. Yeah, I think because Chris was teaching the game to a couple of people. So, it might have just been a bit of a learning curve, which there is a little bit of a learning curve with some of her games. But it looks really interesting. So you're growing mushrooms, but your mushrooms have a symbiotic relationship with the fir trees. So you're controlling the fir trees, and you're trying to manipulate. The game is supposed to replicate the carbon system and the symbiotic relationship between the mushrooms and the fir trees. It sounds really interesting. And you're doing it with tiles, but it's not like regular tile placement. It's sort of like... It seems like a more amped up version of Leaf, that game Leaf, which I have played on the channel, where the tiles really work to activate powers through adjacencies. So it's sort of like this evolving tableau, and you have all these tokens that represent the carbon, and then you have like the fir trees are basically exist at the intersections. You can't see it too well here, but there's actual like meeples that are shaped like fir trees that are sort of like your workers kind of, but they don't move. So really the mushroom tiles themselves are kind of working to activate the fir trees. I can't remember exactly all the ins and outs of how it worked, but it seemed a little complicated. Probably once you get into it, it's not that complicated. It's probably just point salad by the end. But the goal of it is you're all working on this shared tableau was the interesting part of it. So it seemed like an evolution from her other games so far, and just like kind of amping up both the ecological theme and also some of the mechanics she's using. Because this is a co-design with this Mark Wooten guy, who I think may or may not be the same guy that she did the Fox Experiment with, which was also co-design. Now I know that this game will have a solo mode. Mario Postus doesn't have a solo mode, which is one of my criticisms. Not criticisms, but one of my disappointments with that one. This one very much has a solo mode. She was talking about it on a podcast, the BGG podcast with Candace. She was talking a bit about developing the solo mode for this. So I'm really interested in this. So I backed this for $1. I'm going to upgrade my pledge later, I think, before that closes, because this is a must for me and Rich, because we're just such big Liz Hargrave stands at this point. Okay, we're getting there. Speaking of Liz Hargrave, I know everyone is talking about this, so I want to talk about this a little bit in relation to Stonemaier Games. You may have seen this all up on the Twitter. Wormspan, which is a reskinning of Wingspan / a slight redesign. So this is Connie Vogelman, who also is releasing Apiary with Stonemaier Games, which I don't know if Apiary is out yet. If anyone knows if Apiary is out, let me know, because I want to try that one. That one looked really good. But yeah, so Jamie, I guess, doesn't do Kickstarters. He has got the marketing thing on lock for these new games coming out, though, because it's been all over the Twitter, all over Facebook. I've been seeing this everywhere. And there's two camps about this game, right? There's the people that are like, this is such a cash grab. Oh my god, did we need a reskinning of Wormspan? And then there's the people on the other side, the camp that I belong to, by the way, that's like, dragons, heck yeah. Give me dragons. I don't really like birds that much. So I like that it's Wingspan, but with dragons. Also, I think it's not just Wingspan with dragons. There are some mechanical changes that Connie has done. It is, from what I've seen, truly a new design in a lot of ways. So like the skeleton of Wormspan is the skeleton of Wingspan is there, but this Wormspan game um, sort of takes that mechanic of triggering the different rows, and so it takes that and makes it into a thing where you're uncovering things on the rows. So it takes that idea of covering, flips that aspect of it. Also, um, you're still kind of paying the cost to get to the next part of the row, but I think there's more of the resource management puzzle is more a little bit more focused on unlocking that next part of the row because it turns it into a more exploratory type of game, which I think is interesting. I think a lot of it is very similar. I will be interested to see gameplay wise whether it feels like Wingspan or it feels like a totally new experience. I just love the fact that there's dragons. Like that's cool. I love lizards. I love dragons. I love kaiju, monsters of all kinds really. Um, so haters gonna hate. And then Critter Kitchen. So as you all know, we love Flamecraft. Flamecraft. We did finally get the minis for Flamecraft, which I was very excited about for my birthday, which was this couple weeks back. I did not end up backing the Kickstarter for Critter Kitchen, and here's why. I understand some people run their Kickstarter where I often back for $1 when a campaign is live, and then end up just upgrading to a full pledge later when I have money for it. But I just hate this FOMO of, oh, if I don't back the Kickstarter right now, I'm gonna miss my chance. And I feel like it took so long for them to re-release the minis and upgraded components for Flamecraft that by missing the Kickstarter, I had to wait a whole nother year just to get those. And it feels a little like artificial scarcity, manufactured scarcity. That's the term I was looking for. Yeah, and it's feels a little gross to me as a consumer when publishers do those sorts of things. But I understand, like, for this Kickstarter, it's like you had to do the base pledge of $60, and that was it. That was like the lowest entry to it. And I like having the lower one where you can be like, hey, I'll throw in $1 and I can get the updates and the access to the pledge manager. I like the pledge manager access thing because, it gives me as a consumer more flexibility. Like, hey, I do want to buy your product, but I don't have the money right now in this very narrow, like 2-week time frame that you decided to launch your campaign. That's all. And they're obviously Lucky Duck and Cardboard Alchemy aren't the only people that do these types of things, and I don't even think they're the worst offender in this particular category. But just my kind of 2 cents on those types of things when it comes to Kickstarters, why I don't end up backing a lot of Kickstarters for that reason. Because the timing for me kind of has to be right, money wise. But this sounded like a really good game, and very different than Flamecraft. It's not, they could have totally just done like they could have done a Flamecraft expansion, which I would have really liked, but I think they're just focusing on like adding new promo cards as like little mini expansions for Flamecraft, not like a full expansion for that game. And they decided, so this one is the artist is one of the designers on this one, allegedly. Oh, Peter C. Hayward's in the mix, right? Peter C. Hayward of the Button Shy games. Maybe this is the one. What else has he done? Sorry. French Toast. That's how I know this guy. He did French Toast in that fiction game. Okay. Now I know where I heard about this guy from. Wow, he's getting around. Okay. Yeah, so again, I've seen some coverage on this, some live plays. Jenna did a live play. Amy and Maggie did a review of this. They were raving about this game. There's a lot of, rather than being, it has some worker placement elements to it, like Flamecraft has, but it's more simultaneous action selection kind of system. So you have like screens and stuff. It's a culinary theme. Your cute animals, trying to make delicious dishes. It's like a foodie's dream, a foodie and animal lover's dream of a game. It does look the art style. If you like the art style from Flamecraft, which is probably my favorite thing about that game, you know, I do. I am gonna buy this game eventually. We're gonna try this game because it does sound really fun. As you all know, I am a Julia Child stan as well as an Elizabeth Hargrave stan. I love to cook. And I love the fact that you have all the different recipes you're making, fine dining, but your animal critters. And one of the meeples you have is, oh, let me see if I can find it, is a lizard. There's a lizard and a rabbit in the game. I just love her art. I think she's part Vietnamese, so she actually worked in some art from her culture in here, which is really cool. Um, Where's the lizard though? You have like three meeples, so as opposed to in Flamecraft, it was a more rondel type of system. This one you have like three different workers, but you have like a lizard that's really fast, can do actions really quickly, and you have another meeple that's slower. It was a really interesting kind of system. Yeah, so you have random ingredients are placed, and you're trying to get to the ingredients first that you need to make the ingredients. So it's a lot of contract fulfillment, right? So you simultaneously and secretly plan which locations you want to send your three chefs to. So yeah, you have the three meeples, which are your chefs, and one of them is a lizard. I remember that. I think one of them might be a rabbit. I can't remember. But it's really cool. There is one that's like the animal versions of like the famous chefs. There's one that's like Julia Wild. Like it's just really cute. So I am looking forward to this. I did not back the Kickstarter, so I'm gonna have to wait a while. And while everyone's getting their Kickstarters fulfilled, getting copies of this game, I'm gonna be very, very jealous. And anything that is exclusive to the Kickstarter, I guess I'm gonna have to wait a super long time to get that too. It's a little annoying. I heard there's a bunch of expansions that come with this that are Kickstarter exclusives, and I'm like, still bitter about it. FOMO. I just need a better job, better paying job. That's what it is. That's what it's really about. Then I could back all these Kickstarters. The Battle of Versailles is another one I'm really looking forward to. I'm almost done, I swear. Again, Amy and Maggie, I get all my recommendations from Amy and Maggie now from Thinker Themer because my taste is really aligning with theirs, like to a scary degree. But this is a 2-player only game. Me and Rich love 2-player only games. This is from one of the designers of Lacrimosa, Ferran Renalius. So, love to see it. And this Eloy Pujadas. What else did he do? I feel like there's something else he did, and I can't remember what it was. I think maybe it's just all for Ron Renalius, and I was like, yes. So this is like a fashion theme. I love to see these more like not typical gamer bro themes in games, obviously, and other fashion theme games I've heard about. Like, did you hear about Pret-a-Porter, which is a heavier hero game. It's also fashion themed. They reskinned it to be like the video game industry because they wanted it to appeal to those gamer bros more. I'm like, no, don't give in. But this one is apparently like an actual event that happened. It's basically we're the Americans versus the French designers, and we're having like a catwalk off of our different designs. And I love that theme. I think that's great. And Amy and Maggie were saying that it's a really good 2-player head-to-head game, and me and Rich like that when like we don't like battlers where you're like fighting and directly attacking each other. We like more head-to-head games where we're like just trying to outdo each other, and that sounds kind of like what this would be. I don't remember a lot of the details of the gameplay necessarily, but anytime I hear those two really raving about something, I know that I'm gonna like it. Oh, I think there's like some. I just love the art. too, which is really good. And you have like the little models are going like the board is like the catwalk. Love it. Love it. I can't wait for that. And then last but not least, my 11th most anticipated game of 2024. I'm really trying to get this done by 3. Is Charcuterie. And the second I heard about this game, Jenna from the Board Game Garden had this on her list of anticipated games. I don't know if that list was for last year. It was a while ago that she was talking about this, but she definitely covered this Kickstarter, obviously. She's a fellow charcuterie girl. So my friends Jamila and Shelly never go anywhere without a couple of accoutrements for charcuterie. They're making impromptu charcuterie boards everywhere they go. Like, I'm not even exaggerating or being like facetious. Jamila usually has, she's got the champagne in the trunk and Shelly's pulling cheese out of her bag and some carrots, and it's like, hey, do you have a cutting board we can use? We're going to cobble something together. And Jamila's like, I think I have some leftover fig jam in the fridge. Like, fun. And so then Jamie from Pasta Meeple, they did a live play for the Kickstarter of this. So this is a tile placement game where you're building your charcuterie board. You have like a round little board and you have the different categories of things. So you have like these tokens or tiles. They're all these uniquely shaped tiles. Okay, so you're drawing these out of a bag. And they're things like fruit, cheese, veggies. And you're trying to... I see here's pictures of people playing. Yeah, so you have like these little boards that you're putting all these tiles on, right? And you have these objective cards and that are going to help you score. So you're trying to get certain arrangements of things to get certain amount of points. So it sounds, when I first heard about this game, I thought it was going to be super basic, like super light, but it looks like a fast game. Like, it's light in the sense that it's fast, but it looks kind of chunky in the, like, not chunky, but brain burny in the way that you're trying to balance all the different elements on your charcuterie board, because of the way in which your objectives, the way in which they intersect, can be very complex. So it looks like a simple game to learn and teach, but very hard to kind of make everything kind of work, which I love games like that. Like, actually, speaking of, that's very much what Making Manhattan, John's only published game so far, is very much like that, which I really like that game as well. Okay, so that was a lot. And I didn't even go through every single one of these because, there were some interesting ones. Like, there's Cosmic Cow Collectors, Cafe Barras, which is the new KTPG game. The people that published Creature Comforts. You're in a cafe, and it's run by capybaras. Enough said. And there's a bunch of other ones, yada, 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 yada. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I don't know. I didn't see anyone in the chat. Maybe you guys will watch this after the fact. That's fine too. It's so weird because I can't see myself. Usually when I'm streaming, I can see myself and I look at it way too much. So this is very odd, like not seeing myself at all. So if I seem a little uncomfortable today, that's why. If you did tune in, thank you. If you're watching this after the fact, please comment below what games you're looking forward to in 2024. I always want to try to do this as a usual list, but it's just so hard for me to narrow this stuff down, you guys. But let me know if you'd like to see a list like that next year instead of a live. We could make that happen. But I don't do it as a video with Rich for the reason that he doesn't care. He's like, oh, that sounds great, baby. Like, I do all the researching. I do all the shopping for games. Like, and he just plays them. That's his role, is to just play with me. But yeah, I'm really hoping Unconscious Mind comes this year. But I know some of this stuff is definitely coming this year. Like I know Molly House is coming, and I know that Ovation game is coming for sure. Just got another email about that one. So you know, the little update emails from the different campaigns are trickling in. But not all of these on my anticipated ones were Kickstarter ones. A lot of them were things that have been on Kickstarter or are going to be on Kickstarter this year, because that's how this industry works right now. Unless you're Jamie Stegmeyer and you're like, I got enough money from Wingspan, I don't need to do Kickstarters anymore. Good for him. Good for him. And I'm really excited to see more titles from Connie Vogelman. She's coming out of the gate hard and fast. So good for her too. I hope she gets all the bags. I hope Tori, the reprint campaign for Votes for Women just ended. I hope Tori gets her bags. I hope Elizabeth Hargrave and all these women designers are getting all their bags. I hope the Night Shift Exotic Cancer, I hope she's going to get all her bags. I just love to see. I mean, a lot of people say, is the golden age of board gaming over? I mean, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of great games coming out. I think we are truly living in the golden age of board games. So, at least, you know, like these more niche hobby kind of board games. But it's becoming more mainstream now. I mean, that Wormspan one, I've been seeing, you know, not hobbyist websites talking about that game. So it's Stonemeyer's they're getting up in the world, which again, good for them and good for their designers. You know, their games are getting out there. They're getting into the targets. You know what really pissed me off about those guys talking about that Night Shift game was they're saying, well, that's not a game you'd see in a Target. And then one of them was like saying, well, if I saw that game in my friendly local game store, I would turn around and walk out and never come to patronize that establishment again. I'm like, that's pretty dramatic. Like, you know, it's really some. Hello, Zenlo. I'm literally about to end the stream, but that's cool. Hi, welcome. We're just talking about board games, you know. Yeah, so that's all I have for today. Me and Rich will be streaming Age of Comics on Wednesday. Let me see. Is it behind me? Yes, it is behind me. I'm just going to pull it out so you guys can see it. So, Mazel Tov again to Jamie for sending this to me. I won this in a giveaway from Foster the Meeple. Thanks, guys. So we're going to be covering this on Wednesday. This is a fun little worker placement game. Well, it's not little, but obviously. But tune in then, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Age of Comics. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hopefully there'll be more videos coming out. I know it's been kind of radio silence the last couple of months because I'm learning a new editing software and it's just like pulling teeth. But there's plenty of footage to edit, plenty of videos to make that I'm trying to get on top of. So, but we will be continuing our stream schedule. We kind of took a break over the holidays for that, just to recover. I don't know that we're going to be streaming every single week, but I'm going to try to do Solitary Sunday every week if I can, and I might take off a week here or there. But I was really enjoying streaming in November, December, so I think we're going to continue that. And if it's a live-only channel, so be it. Content is content. Okay, well, I will catch you guys on the flip side, and remember, be gay to crime. Whoop, 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 whoop.